Hi there folks, it's just me, your friendly neighborhood Walter Shepherd. I'm making this video in answer to a request. Someone asked me to speak about the Battle of Armageddon, and most notably any of the servants participating in it. I've done other videos on this topic, but they were kind of mushed together, which also during that conversation I talked about the Battle of Armageddon. So I haven't specifically spoken or haven't specifically done an upload about this particular topic. There is, however, if you go back in the playlist, go back in the I'm still getting over a cold. Excuse me. If you go back in the playlist, you will see a series of videos that I did a couple of years ago, in which I call them a dramatized commentary. There's kind of I was playing the part of a person, of a believer that was left behind after the rapture, and this person was doing talking head videos like I'm doing now, but it took place over about 90 days. I forget how many videos there are. There's about 16 or 17 videos in all. But in that series of videos, that particular character covered some of the time that is in the tribulation. There was a video in which he saw a Nephilim, and one where he was avoiding the gangs and whatnot. And then there was one of the videos where he had a dream about seeing the Battle of Armageddon. And that particular dream that character was speaking about comes from the visions that I've had about the Battle of Armageddon, of which I am going to be speaking now. Okay, here we go. In order to get an understanding of what is going to be going on during the Battle of Armageddon, in the book of Revelation, it mainly talks about the fact that the Antichrist will be assembling an army of 200 million people, and they will be meeting in a part of Jerusalem. They will be gathered in a part of Jerusalem called the Valley of Armageddon, and that is where we get the word Armageddon. And in the early 90s, I was lucky enough to be part of this church that went on a tour of Jerusalem, and I was actually there on the ruins of King Solomon, of one of King Solomon's palaces, and that overlooked the whole Valley of Armageddon. And it is a huge flat plain. There's a valley on one side and then a valley on the other, and in between I could easily see where all the world's armies from all the continents will be gathered together, 200 million strong. But that's basically what's going to be happening with the people armies. And in order to begin this particular conversation, let me just start off with what happens after the rapture. So after the rapture, you realize, or you understand, that the wise virgins will be out of here, and the unwise virgins will be left behind. And the unwise virgins, they will have to face the tribulation period. And at some point, they're going to have to be martyred in order to get into heaven. And also, let me just digress for a second. If you're one of the critics out there that disagrees with anything that I say, we can carry on a conversation if you can sincerely state that you've read the entire Bible from cover to cover. If you're just one of those Christian critics that have only read a few verses and a few chapters here and there, and you focused on just a couple of books of the Bible or a few books of the Bible to support your stand, and you've not read the entire Bible, well then there's no point in commenting. There's no point in doing anything, because I don't have time to deal with critics or trolls or people who disagree with what I say. We might as well just end the conversation now by agreeing to disagree, because obviously, if you're going to be a critic, there's nothing I can say that is going to change your mind. And obviously, I am firm in my stance, having read the Bible a number of times, 4 times, working on the 5th time. I am firm in my stance, so there's no way that there's anything you can say that's going to change my mind. So there's no point in even commenting if you're going to criticize or anything like that. Okay, anyway, so now at the tribulation period, at the beginning of the tribulation period, that's when the expression is all hell breaks loose. And that is all the demons that are in the abyss right now, all the Nephilim and all the dark spirits, and however many they are and however powerful they are, some of them, or all of them, are going to be released. Some of them have been in the abyss since they were first cast down out of heaven. And those ones are some of the really most powerful fallen angel or demonic spirits the world will experience. And a lot of the Nephilim will be coming out too. And some of the visions that I've seen about that, they are the Nephilim spirits, or the Nephilim themselves. They are gigantic angels. The Bible tells us that there are angels that are 30, 40 feet tall, and they have spears that are as big as the trees of Lebanon. And those particular trees, they're just long shafts, and they can easily be taken down by a Nephilim or one of the larger angels and just used as a spear. So there are going to be giants roaming around during the tribulation period, as well as all the demonic spirits, as well as all the imp spirits and whatever dark spirits else are out there. As when Satan rebelled in heaven, he took a third of the angels, and a third of the angels, I would imagine, they come in all forms of shapes and sizes and powers and various sort of dark attitudes, and they will all be released during the tribulation period. So anybody that is left behind is not only going to have to face the one-worlders and their plans for depopulation, but they're also going to have to be running and hiding from all the dark spirits that are going to be tormenting and killing as many human people as they possibly can. And remember, the one-worlders, those behind the New World Order, their Georgia Stone statements, commandments, they want a total global population of only 500 million people. And so there's going to be massive death within the first 2 or 3 months, at least, before the one-worlders reestablish power and authority. Because I firmly believe, again, based on the visions that I've had, that the rapture cloud, when it begins, it's going to encircle the earth. And as it encircles the earth, it's going to be sending out whirlwinds and tornadoes and lightning strikes, and it's going to be affecting various places on the earth. There will be EMP blasts from the lightning, and the tornadoes and whirlwinds are going to be destroying various cities and whatnot. So basically, the rapture cloud will be serving 2 purposes. Not only will it be collecting all those people going to heaven, but at the same time, it's going to begin the very terrible wrath of God upon all the God haters and upon all those left behind. And so during that time of the tribulation period, people there that do survive in one way or another by either taking the mark of the beast in order to survive within the society, or there will be people that are outside the system. They'll be living in the wilderness, and those people out there will not only have to be hiding from the one world armies, but they'll also have to be hiding from all the dark spirits and the Nephilim that are out to get them. And part of the visions that I've seen is there are certain servants of the Lord that will be asked to accompany angels that will be coming down to earth during the tribulation period to help protect and to provide for those people, for those particular believers that are going to be on the outside, for the survivors, for those people who will eventually survive tribulation and move into the 1,000 years of peace with their flesh and blood bodies. Because the Bible also tells us that part of the beginning of the 1,000 years of peace is God is going to change the whole planet. And in order to make that change, the entire planet is going to be reduced to rubble. It's going to be burned, it's going to be shaken, but there will be very few people left, a remnant of people left with flesh and blood that will survive tribulation and make it into the 1,000 years of peace. And those people will be outside the system. Anybody that has taken the mark of the beast will die during the tribulation period, and none of those people will be there during the millennium. So now we reach the end of the 1,000 years of peace, and we come to the Battle of Armageddon. And again, based on what I've seen and what I've read, the Old Testament prophets tell us that there will be servants of the Lord, human people that will be accompanying the angel armies. Not every servant is going to be required to do that. Not every servant wants to do that. But there are some that do. And there are some that have had visions of it. They've been given their own Acts 2:17 prophecies, a little piece of the future. So they've seen themselves in the armies. They've seen themselves with their warrior gear and whatnot. And so at some point, all the armies will be, all the one-worlder armies, the New World armies, the Antichrist armies, will be gathered in the Valley of Armageddon. And their intent is to destroy Jerusalem. Because Satan, even though he knows that he's going to be losing and he's going to be bound, he's still going to be lying to the people of the New World Order and telling them that they can rule the earth. He's already lied to them, and they already believe that. So the one world army, their intent is to surround Jerusalem and destroy it, because Satan has told them if they destroy Jerusalem, then Jesus has no reason to come back. So that will be their main reason for surrounding Jerusalem. But before they get to that stage, that's when the doors of heaven are going to be opened. The Bible tells us, the Bible tells us that at that point the heavens will roll away. That is, the blackness of space is going to be rolled away to reveal heaven behind it, heaven's landscapes. And that is when all the commanders and the armies and the military leaders and all the powerful people of the New World Order that are there, that's when they're going to see how much more powerful God is than Satan. And that's when they're going to be going to their underground shelters, and which are located under mountains and various places. And that's when they're going to be calling upon the mountains, fall upon us, because we don't want to face the wrath of God. Finally, their eyes will be opened. The people behind the New World Order, the top people in the upper echelon, they've actually seen Satan. They've seen him in his angel of light form. So they know that Satan has a certain amount of power. But they're just mere human beings looking upon a fallen angel. And the eyes of a mere human being, when they see Satan, they believe that that's the most powerful thing on the face of the earth. So they're gauging celestial, supernatural powers based on Satan. But on a scale of 1 to 10, human beings being a 1 and Satan being a 10, they've seen a 10. But based on that same scale, God is 10,000, a million times, a billion times, infinitely more powerful than Satan. God can't even be measured on that scale. And so once they see the blackness rolling away, and they see heaven standing behind it, and they see the armies coming out of heaven, crossing the vast expanse of space in mere seconds, and hovering over top of the atmosphere of Earth, ready to come down to the surface of the earth to do battle. When they see that, that's when they're going to be totally freaked out, and they just want the mountains to hide, because they will actually have a real fear of God at that point. And if you, as for the battle itself, there will be angel armies coming down, and there will be servant armies accompanying them. The servant armies, you servants of the Lord, who want to be in the warrior class, they will be a minority. There will be more angels than there will people. And that's for a specific reason. But anyway, as they make their way to the earth, panic is going to stricken the one worlder armies, and a lot of the people are just going to end up being so freaked out that they're going to kill themselves, or they're going to kill each other, or they're going to be trying to run away from the whole thing. But either way, there's still going to be a lot of soldiers on the ground. There's going to be all these jeeps and tanks and rocket launchers and stuff like that. And then in the air, there's going to be all these missiles. There's going to be airplanes and helicopters. And eventually, at some point, all the one-worlder armies and all their weapons are going to be pointing at Jesus and all the descending angels and the warrior servants coming down. But there's no weapon that man has formed that can do anything against the power of God, against the power of Jesus, when he's riding down on his throne. And as he calls out to the armies, he's going to be dispatching everybody. Is he going to be telling everybody where they go? He's going to be saying, okay, this group of angel armies, you will go seek out and destroy all the Nephilims. You angel armies, you're going to be dispatching all the human soldiers. You group of angel armies, you're going to be taking out all the ground vehicles or all the air vehicles. And then he'll be telling his warrior, his human warrior servants, basically the same thing. So exactly where they're going to be appointed, we have no idea. But there will be more dark spirits that will have to be captured, destroyed, or sent to hell than there will be those of the angel armies. Because remember, there are 1/3 of the angels. And personally, I believe there's about maybe a billion, 750 million fallen angels upon the face of the earth. I believe that's why the one worlders want a total global population of 500 million, is because those people who take the number of the beast, not only will they be swearing allegiance to Satan, bowing to Satan, but they will also be possessed by some sort of fallen angel or dark spirit. And because they want 500 million of them, I believe there's at least 500 million fallen angels that will be inhabiting the flesh and blood people of those who take the number of the beast. So all those people around the world, wherever they are, they're going to have to be destroyed too. So wherever the Lord sends you during that time, as he's racing down on his horse, not only will he be calling out orders, sending people here and there, but the Bible tells us that Jesus, in all his miraculous power, he will have flames in his eyes, and in some way he will be like the two witnesses, because the two witnesses in the powers that God has given them, they will be able to shoot fire out of their mouth, and Jesus will be doing that very same thing too, as he's riding down overtop the one worlder armies. I'm sure he'll be shooting out flames and destroying these people, and he'll be going after the fallen angels and the Nephilims and doing the same thing. However that battle progresses, Jesus will be calling out all the orders to all the various um, warrior servants, be they angels or be they people. So you human servants that want to be part of that battle, not only will your robe, your heavenly robe, be designed in the style of some sort of warrior, but the scepter that Jesus gives you when you're given your position of authority, Jesus is going to give all the people in the bride of Christ. He's going to be giving them their own scepter, and some of them will just be a regal scepter, like a staff that they can carry around. But for you warrior servants, your scepter will have the ability to change shape, to morph into a different kind of weapon, whatever it may be. It could be just another staff. It could be a staff that shoots out fire, or a staff that shoots out electricity, or it could turn it into kind of a bow and arrow kind of thing. It turns into a bow with a string, and you pull back these arrows that are basically made of lightning, or arrows that are made out of flames. That's one of the visions that I've seen. And some of you warrior servants will be riding on horses, and some of the horses will have wings, and some of them won't have wings. But as they ride along the earth, or as they ride along the sky, they will be like Jesus' horse, and every time they step down, they will create a trail of fire behind them. And some of the horses will have armor on them, in which case those kind of horses will be the ones that will be charging through the one worlder armies, and the bodies will just be bouncing off the horse's chest as you use your staff as like a sword, or however it is, whatever it is your duty, and whatever heavenly weapon the Lord gives you, you will be using it to cut down the Antichrist armies, and to help cut down all the demonic spirits that are left in the world. So not only will the Battle of Armageddon take place in the Valley of Armageddon, but eventually all those 200 million soldiers, eventually they're all going to be destroyed, and as the Bible tells us, the blood is going to flow, and it's going to rise up to the knees or the waist in some areas as it gathers into rivers and streams. And then after all that, all the birds of prey, and all the carnivorous and omnivorous birds, they will feast on all the soldiers. So the Lord will be calling together all the birds that will basically pick apart and eat the flesh of the one world army, while you soldiers out there will both be cutting down the dark spirits, the demonic spirits, not only in the real world, but also a lot of them will try and hide in the spirit world. In which case, your powers of a warrior will also move from time and space into the spirit realm. So you'll be racing after them in the spirit realm. And some of them will be racing on top of horses, and some of them will be racing in chariots too, because the Bible tells us that there will be chariots there that will be also leaving trails of fire as it goes down. And I'm sure the Lord has also designed other kinds of weapons and other kinds of vehicles for His warrior servants to help dispatch the armies of Satan during the Battle of Armageddon. And then that'll be it for the duties of the warrior until the end of the 1,000 years of peace, because there's one final battle that will have to be fought. And that's when, at the end of the 1,000 years of peace, as you know, Satan is going to be released to try and tempt those flesh and blood people to rebel against God. And some of them will, but most of them won't. And those armies at the end of the 1,000 years of peace, Satan's armies that he gathers, they will once again surround Jerusalem. And that's when the Bible tells us that's when the fire of God falls down and destroys them all. So that could just be God in his power, just doing what he wants to do, and he's the one that has the final say that destroys all of the evil at the end of the 1,000 years of peace. Or again, it could be God calling his warrior servants to say, okay, use your powers to help destroy those people. So exactly how detailed and how the strategy goes for the Battle of Armageddon and for the one at the end of the 1,000 years peace, we have no idea. But at the time of the rapture, when you get your raptured body and we all end up in heaven, sometime during that time, during those 7 years that pass on earth while we're in heaven, we could be doing, the 10, 15, 50 years worth of activities, 50 years of learning how to use our weapons and our skills. And meanwhile, as we're learning 50 years worth of stuff in eternity, only 7 years will have passed by. Or some other time like that. However long it takes for a warrior servant to learn how to be or how to be taught by the angel armies and whatever skills that they're going to use for the Valley of Armageddon. And I think that's about it for now. I guess I'm all talked about, all talked out. But basically, if you go back to those past videos that talk about that, I get into a lot more detail. If you go to that one video where I'm pretending to be someone left behind with a video diary, I get more lyrical, more literary, in when I'm talking about that dream about the Valley of Armageddon and the battle going on there. Anyway, my cold is still having an effect on me. I'm getting tired, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. So I guess we'll just see what the Lord has in store for His servants, for those warrior servants that are going to be helping at the Valley of Armageddon. We will see what He has in mind when we get to heaven. So for everybody else, just have a good time while we still can. The days are still good. You don't have to be spending your time looking at doom and gloom videos and getting all depressed. Just enjoy yourself while the days are still good, because we still got to take joy in the Lord. So while you still can, have fun out there. Be a blessing to your family and to the people around you. Be God's hands and feet down here, and be a good servant of Jesus Himself. Read the Bible so the Holy Spirit can bring that out of you, and when He does that, the Holy Spirit will draw more people to you, because you will have a Christ-like character. So anyway, we can talk more about this at the Eastgate meetup. Until then, remember, no matter how dark times may get, God is in control. So take care, stay in prayer. We will see you in Jesus' kingdom somewhere over there, or maybe even somewhere up in the air. Alrighty, be a blessing. I love you, and I guess I just end as usual, because Jesus rules.